Jake Harrison sat in the strange alien chair and tried not to show his fear. The chair was made of some kind of crystal that glowed blue under his body. Around him, the walls of the ship curved in impossible ways that hurt his eyes when he looked. Too long. He had been an ambassador for 15 years, but nothing had prepared him for this moment. The alien ship called Dominions. Will was bigger than most cities on Earth. It floated silently above the moon, casting a shadow that people could see even during the day. Jake had taken a small shuttle to reach it 3 hours ago. Now he wished he was back home in his office in Washington, dealing with normal human problems. Across from him sat 12 aliens. Each one looked completely different from the others. Some had scales, others had fur, and a few looked like they were made of living rock. The one in the center was the most frightening. It called itself High Arbiter Zextal, and it looked like a giant insect with too many eyes and arms that bent in the wrong directions. Next to Jake sat Captain Lisa Wong, a small woman with sharp eyes who commanded Earth's Space Defense Forces. She wore her blue uniform with pride and kept one hand near her sidearm, even though weapons would be useless here. On his other side was Dr. Peter Kane, a tall man with gray hair who knew more about alien biology than anyone else on Earth. For 3 months, these aliens had been studying humanity. They had watched human wars, read human history, and listened to human communications. They called themselves the Galactic Council, and they said they had been keeping peace in the galaxy for 10,000 years. High Arbiter Zextal spoke through a small device that translated its clicking sounds into English. Human Jake Harrison. We have completed our study of your species. The results are disturbing. Jake tried to keep his voice steady. What do you mean? Your people are too violent, the alien continued. In just 500 years, you have gone from fighting with sticks and stones to building weapons that can destroy entire planets. Your species wages war for land, for resources, for ideas, even for the color of your skin. This level of aggression has never been seen in galactic history. Another alien, this one covered in purple fur, leaned forward. Most species take 50,000 years to develop nuclear weapons. Humans did it in less than 1,000. Most species stop fighting, Major. Wars once they reach the stars. Humans brought their wars with them to space. Jake felt his anger rising, but forced himself to stay calm. We've also created art, music, literature, and philosophy. We've cured diseases and explored the universe. We're not just warriors. Perhaps Zextal said, but your violent nature makes you a threat to galactic peace. Therefore, the Council has decided to offer you terms for peaceful integration into our civilization. The alien reached into a pouch with one of its strange arms and pulled out a glowing tablet. The words appeared in the air above it, written in perfect English. These are our terms, Zextal announced. First, all human military vessels must be surrendered to Council forces within 1 Earth year. Second, all human weapons more advanced than simple firearms must be destroyed. Third, the human population must be reduced to 2 billion individuals. The excess relocated to agricultural worlds where they can be properly supervised. Jake's blood ran cold, but the alien wasn't finished. Fourth, all humans must undergo genetic modification to reduce aggressive tendencies. This is a simple procedure that will make your species more peaceful and cooperative. Fifth, Earth will be governed by a council administrator who will ensure compliance with galactic law. Sixth, humans will be prohibited from independent space travel beyond your solar system without council approval. Captain Wong's hand moved toward her weapon, but Jake touched her arm to stop her. Dr. Kane was staring at the aliens with a look of pure horror. These terms are non-negotiable, Zextal continued. They represent the minimum requirements for human integration into galactic civilization. You have 30 Earth days to accept. The chamber fell silent except for the humming of alien machinery. Jake looked at his 2 companions, then back at the council members. Some of them looked satisfied, others seemed nervous, but all of them clearly expected him to accept their terms. Jake stood up slowly. His legs felt weak, but he managed to stay upright.
Ow.
Let me make sure I understand this correctly. They want us to give up our weapons, our freedom, our right to govern ourselves, and our basic human nature. Correct, Zextal said. In exchange, Your species will be allowed to survive under Council protection. And if we refuse, another alien, this one that looked like a walking tree, spoke up. Refusal would mean war against the combined forces of 12 galactic civilizations. Your species would be extinct within 1 year. No species has ever been foolish enough to refuse council terms. Jake felt something change inside him. The fear was still there, but it was being pushed aside by something stronger. He thought about his daughter playing in the park last weekend. Thought about the billions of humans living their lives on Earth. Unaware that aliens wanted to change everything about who they were, he thought about his grandfather who had fought in World War II and always said that some things were worth dying for. Jake looked directly at High Arbiter Zextal. When he spoke, his voice was clear and strong. No, the alien's multiple eyes blinked in confusion. We do not understand. Please clarify your response. My response is no, Jake repeated. We reject your terms. All of them. The chamber erupted. In clicking, buzzing, and other alien sounds, several council members stood up, their different faces showing the same expression of shock. Captain Wong smiled grimly, while Dr. Kane looked like he might faint. Zextel raised several arms for silence. Ambassador Harrison, you clearly do not comprehend the situation. We are offering you the only path to survival. Rejection means the destruction of your entire species. Then I guess you don't know humans very well, Jake said. Explain. Jake thought for a moment, then smiled. It wasn't a happy smile. You've been studying us for 3 months, but you still don't understand what makes us human. You see our wars and our weapons, and you think that makes us monsters. But you're missing the most important thing about humanity, which is we don't surrender, Jake said simply. When someone threatens our families, our freedom, or our way of life, we fight. Even when the odds are impossible. Even when everyone tells us we can't win. We fight anyway, because that's who we are. He looked around at all 12 aliens. You want to change our nature? You want to make us into something else? Then you're going to have to kill us first. Every last one of us. High Arbiter Zextal was quiet for a long moment. You would choose extinction over peace? We would choose freedom over slavery, Jake replied, every time. The alien's expression was unreadable, but when it spoke, there was something new in its voice. Something. That might have been fear. Very well, Ambassador Harrison. You have made your choice. War it is. 3 months had passed since Jake Harrison said no to the aliens. Earth looked completely different now. General Alex Carter stood on the roof of the Pentagon and watched the sky fill with construction ships. Massive metal platforms were being built above every major city. Each platform bristled with weapons that could shoot down alien ships. Alex had been a soldier for 30 years, but he had never seen anything like this. Every country on Earth was working together for the first time in human history. Russian engineers worked beside American scientists. Chinese factories built weapons designed by European researchers. The whole planet had become one giant military base. General, the President wants to see you, said Lieutenant Colonel Sarah Martinez as she walked up behind him. Sarah was his aide and one of the smartest officers he had ever worked with. She carried a tablet full of reports that made Alex's head hurt just thinking about them. More bad news? Alex asked. Actually, some good news for once, Sarah smiled. Dr. Phillips thinks she's figured out how their shields work. Dr. Susan Phillips was a physicist who had been studying the alien technology they captured from the scout ships that sometimes came near Earth. She worked in a secret laboratory buried deep under Colorado. Most people thought she was crazy. But Alex knew she was the smartest person on the planet. They walked down into the building where President John Mitchell was waiting in the Situation Room. The president looked tired. He had not slept much since the aliens made their threat. Around the table sat the heads of every military branch and the leaders of the space program. Alex, tell me we're ready for this, the president said. We're as ready as we can be in 3 months, Alex replied. Every major city has defense platforms. We've built underground shelters that can hold half the population. Our space fleet has grown from 50 ships to over 800. Will it be enough? Alex was quiet for a moment. Honestly, sir, probably not. They have 12 civilizations worth of ships and weapons. We have one planet and a few months of preparation. But, the president asked, because he could hear something else in Alex's voice. But we have some advantages they don't know about, Alex said. Dr. Phillips has been reverse engineering their technology. We've learned how to make our own energy shields and faster engines. More importantly, we've learned how to break through their shields. On the other side of the planet, Dr. Susan Phillips was showing her latest discovery to a room full of scientists and military officers. She was a small woman with wild hair who always wore the same white lab coat. In front of her was a piece of alien metal that glowed with strange patterns. This is part of their whole armor, she explained. It's incredibly strong, but it has a weakness. The alien materials vibrate at a specific frequency. If we can match that frequency with our weapons, we can shatter their armor like glass. Captain Maria Santos raised her hand. She commanded the Earth Defense Force's newest battleship, the Defiance. How long will it take to modify our weapons? 2 weeks for the prototypes, Dr. Phillips said. But that's not the best part. At this, she pressed a button and a hologram appeared above the table. 8. It showed the inside of an alien ship, with corridors and rooms marked in different colors. This is the layout of their command ships, she continued. All 12 species use the same basic design. They like things to be organized and predictable. That means we can plan exactly where to hit them. Commander Ryan Torres was not on Earth. He was floating in a small ship near the edge of the solar system, talking to aliens who were not part of the Council. These aliens were refugees from planets that the Council had brought peace to over the centuries. Your people are either very brave or very stupid, said Captain Krell of the Zelani Republic. Krell looked like a cross between a human and a lizard, with green scales and bright yellow eyes. His people had fought the Council 50 years ago and lost. Maybe both, Ryan admitted. But we're not going to let them turn us into slaves. The Council has never lost a war, Krell warned. They have more ships than you can imagine. They have weapons that can crack planets in half. Then why are you here talking to me? Ryan asked. Krell was quiet for a moment. Because in 50 years of Council rule, my people have forgotten how to laugh. We have forgotten how to dream. We have forgotten what it means to be free. Maybe it is time someone reminded the galaxy. Help us fight them, Ryan said. When the war starts, hit their supply lines, attack their bases while they're busy with us. Even if we lose, we can hurt them enough that other species will see they can be beaten. Krell's lizard face showed something that might have been a smile. You humans are insane. I like that. Back on Earth, the preparations continued day and night. Factories that once made cars now built spaceships. Farms were moved underground to protect them from bombardment. Children practiced hiding in shelters, the same way their grandparents had practiced hiding from nuclear bombs. Jake Harrison was no longer just an ambassador. Now he was also a general, helping to plan Earth's defense. He stood in a command center watching screens that showed the movement of ships all across the solar system. The orbital shipyards are working at maximum capacity, reported Admiral Kate Baker. She was in charge of all human space forces and had been working 18 hours a day for 3 months. We're launching a new ship every 6 hours. What about the Mars base? Jake asked. Colonel Ben Murphy says it's ready, Kate replied. The entire planet is one big fortress now. Underground cities, automated defense systems, and enough supplies to last 10 years? Jake nodded. Mars had been turned into humanity's backup plan. If Earth fell, the war would continue from there. And if Mars fell, there were hidden bases on asteroids throughout the solar system. The aliens wanted to destroy humanity, but humans were very good at surviving. Captain Lisa Wong walked into the command center, carrying a cup of coffee and looking pleased with herself. I just got back from testing the new weapons, she announced. Dr. Phillips was right. The frequency modulators can punch right through their shields. How well do they work? Jake asked. We shot a hole clean through an asteroid, Lisa grinned. The aliens are going to get a nasty surprise. As the final preparations were made, strange reports began coming in from the edge of the solar system. Alien scout ships were disappearing. not destroyed, just gone. The council was starting to realize that humans had friends they didn't know about. On the alien command ship, High Arbiter Zextal was reading reports that made no sense. "How can a single species be building so many ships so quickly?" demanded. "The humans appear to be more industrious than we calculated," replied its aide. "They have also somehow acquired allies among rebel factions." "Possible," Zextal clicked. "No species has ever successfully resisted council integration." "Perhaps, High Arbiter, we should consider offering new terms," the aide suggested carefully. Zextal's many eyes focused on the aide with displeasure. "The terms have been set. The humans will submit, or they will die. Prepare the fleet for full invasion." But as Zextal gave the order, it felt something it had never experienced before in 10,000 years of council service. For the first time in its long life, the High Arbiter was not completely certain of victory. On Earth, President Mitchell addressed the world one final time before the war began. "My fellow humans, the aliens are coming. They want us to surrender everything that makes us human. They want us to give up our freedom, our dreams, and our right to choose our own path. We have told them no, and now they're coming to take these things by force." He paused and looked directly into the camera. "Let them come. We are ready." The alien fleet arrived on a Tuesday morning. Admiral Kate Baker watched from the bridge of her flagship, Defiance, as 10,000 enemy ships dropped out of hyperspace near Jupiter. The alien fleet was so large it looked like a metal moon floating. In space, each ship was bigger than anything humans had ever built. "Well, that's a lot of ships," said Captain Lisa Wong from her position at the weapons console. She tried to sound calm, but Kate could hear the tension in her voice. "Look how they're flying," Kate replied. "Perfect formation, nice and orderly. They're following some kind of tactical manual that's probably older than human civilization." The alien ships moved toward Earth in neat rows, just like Kate had expected. The Council had been fighting wars the same way for thousands of years. They overwhelming their enemies with superior numbers and firepower, then demanded surrender. It had worked on every species they had ever encountered. But humans were different. "All ships, this is Admiral Baker," Kate spoke into her communicator. "Execute Battle Plan Alpha. Show these aliens what chaos looks like." Across the solar system, human ships that had been hiding behind asteroids and moons suddenly appeared. They didn't attack in neat formations. Instead, they swarmed like angry bees, hitting the alien fleet from every direction at once. The first surprise came when human weapons punched straight through alien shields. Dr. Phillips's frequency modulators worked perfectly. Alien ships that had never been damaged in 1,000 years of warfare suddenly found holes burned through their hulls. The second surprise came from the human tactics. Instead of fighting a traditional space battle, the humans used Jupiter's gravity well to slingshot their ships around the planet at incredible speeds. The alien targeting computers couldn't keep up with ships that kept changing direction and velocity. Colonel Ben Murphy was watching the space battle from his command post on Mars. The red planet had been turned into one giant fortress, with underground cities and surface weapons that could shoot at targets millions of miles away. "Sir, the aliens are sending ships toward us," reported Major Carol Davis, his second in command. "How many?" Ben asked. "About 500? Ben smiled. "Good," I was getting bored. The alien ships approached Mars expecting to find a lightly defended outpost. Instead, they found that the entire planet was a weapon. Hidden missile launchers emerged from the ground. Weapon platforms that looked like rocks suddenly opened fire. The planet's 2 moons turned out to be disguised battle stations. The aliens had superior technology, but they had never fought an enemy that turned entire worlds into battlefields. Within 6 hours, none of the 500 ships that attacked Mars were left. Back near Jupiter, the space battle was getting more intense. High Arbiter Zextal watched from his command ship as human vessels darted between his formations, like minnows attacking sharks. "This is impossible," Zextal clicked to his aide. "Our ships are bigger and stronger. We have better weapons and more experience. How are these primitives doing so much damage?" "The humans do not fight according to any known tactical doctrine," his aide replied. "Seem to make up new strategies during the battle. That's not how warfare works, Zexel said. There are rules. There are proper formations and established tactics. The humans appear to be unaware of these rules. High Arbiter. On Earth, Jake Harrison was coordinating the global defense from a bunker deep under Washington. Screens around him showed battles happening all across the solar system. So far, the human forces were holding their own, but Jake knew this was just the beginning. "Jake, we're getting reports from outside the solar system," said Captain Jennifer Ross, who was in charge of intelligence. "Our alien allies are attacking Council supply bases." Jake smiled. Commander Ryan Torres had done his job well. While the Council was focused on Earth, rebel forces were hitting their rear bases and supply lines. The galaxy was learning that the Council could be hurt. "Any word from Ryan?" Jake asked. "He's leading a joint human-Solani task force against the Council's main shipyard at Nexus Station," Jennifer replied. "If they can destroy that facility, the Council won't be able to build replacement ships." The war was spreading beyond Earth's solar system. On dozens of worlds, species that had lived under Council rule for centuries were rising up. They had been waiting for someone to prove that the Council could be beaten. Humans were giving them that proof. Dr. Susan Phillips was still in her underground laboratory, but now she was working on something new. "I think I can do more than just break through their shields," she told her team. "Think I can turn their own weapons against them." "How?" asked Dr. Robert Chen, her chief assistant. "Their ships are all connected by a communication network," Susan explained. "If I can hack into that network, I can send a signal that will overload their weapon systems." "Can you do it from here?" "I need to get close to one of their command ships," Susan said. "Close enough to plant a transmitter." That was how Dr. Susan Phillips ended up in a small stealth ship, flying toward the largest alien vessel in the fleet. The ship was invisible to alien sensors, but if anything went wrong, she would be vaporized in seconds. Meanwhile, the battle near Jupiter was reaching its climax. Admiral Baker had been fighting for 18 hours straight, and her fleet was running low on ammunition. But the aliens were in even worse shape. They had lost over half their ships, and their neat formations had turned into scattered groups. "Admiral, the alien commander is trying to contact us," reported Lisa Wong. "Put him through," Kate said. High Arbiter Zexthal appeared on the main screen. The alien looked exhausted and confused. "Human Admiral, I request a temporary ceasefire to discuss terms." "What terms?" Kate asked. "Perhaps we were too hasty," Zexthal said. "Your species has proven more capable than we anticipated. We are prepared to offer a new agreement." Kate laughed. "You mean you want to surrender? You want to negotiate?" The alien replied carefully. "Sorry," Kate said. "You had your chance to negotiate. You chose war instead. Now you get to live with that choice." At that moment, Dr. Phillips activated her device aboard the alien command ship. Across the enemy fleet, weapon systems began exploding as the hack spread through their network. Hundreds of alien ships found themselves defenseless. The remaining Council ships began to retreat. But human forces followed them. The war that was supposed to end with humanity's quick defeat had turned into a rout. For the first time in galactic history, the Council fleet was running away from a fight. As the aliens fled toward the edge of the solar system, Captain Maria Santos led a pursuit force to make sure they kept running. Her ship, the Freedom's Fire, had been one of the first vessels equipped with Dr. Phillips's new weapons. "Should we let them go?" asked her first officer. "No," Maria replied. "We're going to follow them all the way home. It's time the galaxy learn that humans don't just defend themselves. When someone starts a fight with us, we finish it." On Earth, President Mitchell addressed the world again. "My fellow humans, we have won the first battle. The alien fleet is retreating. But this war is not over. We're going to take this fight to them. We're going to show the galaxy that freedom is worth fighting for." Jake Harrison looked at the tactical displays showing human ships spreading out across space. The war that started with humanity rejecting alien terms had become something much bigger. It had become a galactic revolution. "What do you think happens next?" asked Jennifer Ross. Jake smiled grimly. "We go hunting." 6 months after the Council fleet retreated from Earth, General Alex Carter stood on the bridge of the massive human battleship Retribution. Outside the windows, he could see Nexus Prime, the capital world of the Galactic Council. The planet was beautiful, with crystal cities that reached into the clouds, and orbital rings that sparkled like jewelry. It was also the most heavily defended world in the galaxy. "Sir, we have incoming communication from the planet," reported Commander Sarah Martinez. She had been promoted twice during the war and now served as Alex's chief of staff. "Put it through," Alex said. High Arbiter Zextal appeared on the main screen. The alien looked very different from when Jake Harrison first met it. Its shell was cracked, its eyes were dim, and it moved like an old creature that had seen too much. "General Carter, I wish to discuss surrender terms," Zexal said. Alex almost laughed. "Your surrender, or ours?" "Please," the alien continued. "Your forces have conquered half the galaxy. Dozens of council worlds have fallen. Our ancient civilization is crumbling. Surely we can reach some agreement." "You're right," Alex said. "We can reach an agreement. You surrender unconditionally, and we'll let you live." Zextal's multiple eyes blinked rapidly. "You do not understand. We have ruled this galaxy for 10,000 years. We brought peace to 1,000,000 worlds. We ended wars, stopped suffering, created order from chaos. You created slavery and called it peace," Alex replied. "You destroyed freedom and called it order. Your time is over." The communication ended, and Alex turned to look at the planet below. Around Nexus Prime, the largest space battle in galactic history was taking place. Human ships fought alongside vessels from dozens of species that had joined the rebellion. The Council's ancient defense systems were failing one by one. Admiral Kate Baker commanded the fleet from her flagship, now renamed the Freedom Sword. Her ships moved in the chaotic patterns that had become the human trademark. No neat formations, no predictable tactics, just pure controlled chaos that drove alien commanders insane. "Admiral, the Zilani task force has broken through the outer defense ring," reported Captain Lisa Wong from her own ship. "Good," Kate replied. "All ships begin planetary assault. Remember, we want the Council leaders alive. We're going to answer for 10,000 years of oppression." On the planet's surface, Colonel Ben Murphy led the ground assault. His troops moved through the crystal cities like a force of nature. The Council had never prepared for invasion because they had never lost a war. Their police forces were designed to control peaceful populations, not fight determined soldiers. "This is easier than I expected," Ben said to Major Carol Davis as they advanced through the capital city. "The Council species forgot how to fight," Carol replied. "They've been in charge so long they thought they were invincible." Behind them came representatives from all the species the Council had conquered. Zilani warriors marched beside human soldiers. Freed slaves carried weapons next to Earth Marines. The galaxy was taking back its freedom one street at a time, in space. Dr. Susan Phillips was aboard a science vessel, monitoring the Council's computer networks. She had learned to hack their systems during the war, and now she was downloading their entire database. "This is incredible," she told her team. "They have records going back 50,000 years. Every species they conquered, every world they controlled, every rebellion they crushed. It's all here." "What are you looking for?" asked Dr. Robert Chen. "Proof," Susan said. "Proof that the Council's peace was just another word for slavery. When this war is over, the galaxy needs to know the truth." Jake Harrison was no longer an ambassador. During the war, he had become supreme commander of all human forces. Now he stood in the Council's ancient throne room, waiting for the end of a galactic empire. The room was enormous, its walls that seemed to stretch forever, and a ceiling that showed images of all the worlds the Council controlled. God. Sat 12 thrones, one for each species that ruled the galaxy. Most of the thrones were empty now. Their occupants had fled or been captured during the invasion. Only High Arbiter Zextal remained, sitting in its crystal throne like a broken king. "You have destroyed everything," the alien said quietly. 10,000 years of peace, gone.
Ow.
"The galaxy will return to chaos and war. The galaxy will return to freedom," Jake replied. "Species will govern themselves. They'll make their own choices, their own mistakes, and their own victories." "Freedom is overrated," Zexal said. "We gave the galaxy order. We ended the wars that killed billions. We created prosperity and safety. You created a prison, Jake said. A beautiful, comfortable prison, but still a prison. And humans don't do well in cages. Outside, the sounds of battle were fading. Council's last defense forces were surrendering. The war that started with humanity's refusal to submit was ending with the fall of the galaxy's oldest empire. Captain Maria Santos entered the throne room with a squad of Marines. Sir, the planet is secure. We've captured most of the Council leadership. What about the other Council species? Jake asked. Some are asking to join the new government we're setting up, Maria replied. Others want to return to their home worlds and govern themselves. A few are still fighting, but they won't last long. Jake nodded. The Galactic Federation would be different from the Council. Instead of one government ruling everyone, each species would control its own destiny while cooperating on matters that affected everyone. What will you do with me? Zexthal asked. You'll stand trial, Jake said. The galaxy deserves to know what you did in the name of peace, but you won't be executed. We're not monsters, even if you think we are. President Mitchell's voice came over the communication system from Earth. Jake, we're getting reports from across the galaxy. It's the news of the Council's defeat is spreading. More species are declaring independence every hour. Any problems? Jake asked. Some of the old Council loyalists are trying to maintain control of their regions, the president replied. But our allies are handling it. The revolution is spreading faster than we can keep track of. 2 years later, the galaxy was a very different place. The Galactic Federation included over 200 species, each governing itself while contributing to common defense and trade. Wars still happened, but they were smaller conflicts that didn't threaten entire civilizations. Jake Harrison served as the first human ambassador to the Federation. He worked from a space station orbiting the former Council capital, now renamed Liberty Station. Every day, he met with representatives from dozens of worlds. All learning how to be free, Captain Lisa Wong commanded the Federation Defense Fleet, a volunteer force made up of ships from every member species. Their job was to make sure no one could ever again threaten the galaxy's freedom. Dr. Susan Phillips continued her research, but now she focused on improving life across the galaxy instead of building weapons. Her discoveries in medicine and agriculture had already saved millions of lives. One morning, Jake received an urgent message from the edge of the galaxy. A new alien empire called the Void Collective had been detected approaching Federation space. Their ships were different from anything anyone had seen before, and their message was simple: surrender or be destroyed. Jake looked at the message and smiled. He activated the galaxy-wide communication system that connected all Federation worlds. People of the galaxy, he said, we have a new threat approaching our borders. They want us to surrender our freedom and submit to their rule. I have one thing to say to them. He paused and thought about that day 3 years ago, when he first told the Council no. Come and take it, Jake said. We're ready.
Back across the galaxy.
Billions of beings who had learned the value of freedom prepared once again to defend it. Humans had taught them that some things were worth fighting for. And that lesson would never be forgotten. The galaxy was free, and it would stay that way.